powerful way for us to make a difference.
Are a way to connect people.
Are a great way to be part of a community that amplifies the impact of your own individual contributions and makes them that much more impactful.
Giving circles are breaking down barriers so that all of us can give back and rise up together.
Giving circles are a tool for social change.
Are changing the face of philanthropy.
Are my superpower.
Are changing the way we practice philanthropy in this country.
Are great ways for us to learn to give and to learn by giving.
Giving circles are strategic, they're collaborative, they're exciting, they're impactful, and they're fun.
Giving circles are ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
That think like you, that want to solve problems like you, and that want to make a difference like you.
We are stronger together.
We are stronger together.
We are stronger together.
I'm Pedro Arista from San Francisco, California. I am part of the Latino Community Foundation's LGBTQ Latinx Giving Circle.
Hi, I'm Victoria from Kyiv, Ukraine, and I'm a member of Unity for Caregiving Circle.
My name is Muhi Khwaja, and this is Atlas. We live in San Francisco, California.
From Brooklyn, New York.
Cancun, Mexico.
From Houston, Texas.
From Shanghai, China.
Bay Area in California.
I'm in Jacksonville.
I'm from Washington, D.C.
I am a philanthropist.
I am a philanthropist.
I am a philanthropist.
I give because it lives out my family's values.
I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Because I care about the women and girls in this community. To be part of a worldwide movement of everyday givers.
I want to see the missions I believe in succeed.
Because I am looking for a way to have political impact.
I give because I care about my community, and I believe that philanthropy has significant power to make changes we want to see in our community.
Because racial justice matters.
Because I want to support the next generation in China to reimagine philanthropy.
Because I want to help reverse historic and systemic inequities.
I truly believe in the power of philanthropy.
Because I want to be transformed.
It's in my DNA.
It is a passion of mine, and I want that tradition to continue on.
About driving change in my local community.
We as a community are coming together to make that change happen.
Things that I've had a chance to live in and grow in.
Learn with us.
Be with us. Grow with us. Dream with us.
We Give Summit.
We Give Summit.
We Give Summit.
Let's get started.
Welcome everyone to the first ever We Give Summit. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Sara Lomelin, and I am the founding executive director of Philanthropy Together. As I hear the messages in today's opening video and I see all of you in the chat, I am overwhelmed with joy and beaming with pride to be part of this growing movement of collective giving. On days like today, am I always reminded of why Philanthropy Together, now just over 1 year old, selected its name. We intentionally chose philanthropy because we want to reclaim that word and go back to its root, love of humanity. And that's exactly what we have seen from each of you, not just in the days leading up to the Give Summit, but also for weeks, for months, and years before then. Giving circles and collective giving groups have continued to show up and show out for their communities to make social change happen, to give individuals an opportunity that they may not have had otherwise, to respond to immediate challenges, to fill funding gaps often overlooked by big philanthropy. And all in all, what we have seen is that we are stronger together. Collectively, our impact has the power to change hearts and minds and move families and communities forward. This is such important work we're doing, and I thank you for being here today with us, to learn with us, to grow with us, and to dream with us. We Give Summit is a month-long celebration of collective giving for the entire field of giving circles, for those who support collective impact and for those looking to join this movement. Over the next 4 weeks, we have more than 40 sessions lined up and more than 120 speakers who will discuss topics ranging from racial equity to advocacy, to women and girls, to engaging millennials and Gen Zs in giving, and much, much more. We'll also have opportunities for you to connect during our interactive and networking sessions, including tonight's pop-up giving circle, where we will experience gathering, learning, and deciding which organization fighting against hate will make a collective gift to. And we'll do that all in just 75 minutes. If you're new to Giving Circles, I strongly encourage you to join us tonight. This is a great introductory experience, and you'll walk away feeling the impact and joy that comes with being a Giving Circle member. And I have a challenge for all of you. Can we make tonight's pop-up be the largest pop-up Giving Circle in the virtual world to date? I think if all of you join us tonight, we can totally do it. In addition to tonight's session, we also have speed networking, gathering around identity, and network showcase, and more informal gatherings to help you meet fellow Giving Circle members and supporters. We would love to see you in as many sessions as you can attend, but we know we're in a virtual space, so no worries if you cannot join us live. All the recordings will be available after each session. And you can keep the conversation going on Philanthropies Together Community Forum. Share your reflections on sessions by sending a message to other Giving Circle leaders. You can sign up at community.philanthropytogether.org. Throughout this summit, we want to hear from you. Share about your experience also on social media using the hashtag WeGiveSummit. Share pictures of you with your swag and tell others what you are learning throughout the sessions. And also, please share your feedback following the sessions using the surveys that can be found in your schedule area of the We Give Summit website. Before we hear special messages from today's incredible speakers, I'd like to thank the organizers of the We Give Summit. This event wouldn't have been possible without the hard work and planning of these 14 Giving Circle networks. Thank you all for your commitment to bringing the entire field of collective giving together for the first time ever. Especially, I want to give a big shout out to our planning committee, to Kendra, to Biz, to MME Group, amazing, and most important than anything, to my incredible team. Isis, Ilyasa, Ty, Kaison, Alisa, and Yaira, you absolutely rock. With that, I am so excited to welcome Niveah Glover, a freshman at Jacksonville Arts and Music School and a powerhouse at the young age of 16. Today, Niveah will share a poem that she wrote with a special message for each of you. Welcome, Niveah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're so happy to see you here today. Can you tell us really quickly, before we see your beautiful video, what inspired you to make that, to write that poem?
Just the beauty in Giving Circles. I looked up what it was because I never heard of it before, and I was very intrigued, and it was amazing to see all the different organizations and people coming together. And I figured it was no better time to do my own giving.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us. And let's watch that video.
My mother has always said, everyone has a seat at our table. No matter color, financial standing, or religion, we accept you for character. For character. We make tables every day we come together and converse with one another. A melting pot of inspiration, we craft it and pass it down the line. Anything that can or will be solved takes more than one person. It takes a multitude of minds, many ideas, and a variety of people. I have always always been told that impact and change grow like seeds, blossoming from the courage and the work of those who are willing to tend to it. We try and give because we believe in our seeds. We believe in creating the type of community bonds that create movements. We give to grow, to change, to live, to believe. Here, right now, we share all that we have with each other in this quest to just be in a moment of need. Don't be afraid to have a seat at the table. Find other people who have the same passion and drive and offer them their own chair. Allow yourselves to give. To give. Allow yourself to sprout change.
Wow. I get emotional all the time. So powerful words from Niveah. What an inspiring young woman. And as she said, don't be afraid to have a seat at the table. And our next speaker has certainly ensured that there is room and space for women and families in philanthropy. I am so excited to have Ana Oliveira, the president and CEO of the New York Women's Foundation, an organization that believes all voices count and that effective solutions are created when tables are inclusive. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, especially for joining us all the way from Sao Paulo.
Yes.
We're so touched that you took the time to be with us today, and to all this amazing group of collective givers from all over the world. I want to, we have a few minutes to talk, and I want to start by saying something that we have heard you share all the time as a guiding value for the New York Women's Foundation. You always said we can all do better when we do it together. So we totally agree. And here, with philanthropists and people from all over the globe, we're here to make change together. So what does doing it together means for the foundation? What do listening, participation, and trust look in action?
Let me take 1 minute or less than that just to thank you for the summit, just to thank you for the we in philanthropy, just to thank you for the concept of collective giving and giving circles and other forms of collective giving, because I feel like we have a home. I feel like this conversation can turn giving circles into a giving spiral, that keeps on growing. And so let me just thank you for that, and thank you for having. So the foundation was created by a group of women from all walks of life that realized that together they could do much better than alone. And women of high financial net worth, women with incredible community leadership experience that came together and said, how do we bring who we are with all of our differences, not to replicate hierarchy, but to leverage different perspectives in the world, different types of knowledge, and create a shared world. And the mission of the foundation is economic justice, which for us means gender justice, racial justice, and evidently eliminating the enormous inequalities that we have. So doing it together, the foundation means, just like our incredible poet said, having a table where everyone come as they are and give what they can, but they all have the same power. They all have the same vote. So over 34 years, we've been testing ourselves and pushing ourselves to be this huge giving circle, within which there are also smaller giving circles. But we value the proximity to our grantee partners, donor partners and grantee partners, very proximate to each other.
Thank you, Anna. I love that. And I love the fact that you said, there are people with enormous wealth and people that just come, they give what they can. And I think that is, something extremely powerful, right? It's the power of collective giving. We come and we are all philanthropists. So how do you navigate power in relationship to community leaders and grassroots groups?
Yes, I think that in philanthropy, is not just important to give, it's critically important to give, but it's that exchange. We believe that problems and solutions live in the same place. That's a concept of a giving circle, of collective giving. And that our grantee partners, those who are living the challenges and are automatically succeeding in breaking them down, in creating solutions that are not just against something, but they create another world, another way of giving, another way of being, another way of solving a problem that seems so intractable. So the power, we acknowledge the power of knowledge. We acknowledge the power of innovation. We acknowledge the power of the vision and the ability to move, to make things happen that our grantees have. So we look at assets, both as financial assets, but also knowledge assets, organizing assets, problem-solving assets. So we exchange that. That's why the proximity is so important. It's transformational. It's very interesting. We see our donors who are, from a financial point of view, very high net worth, intentionally wanting to be in arrangements where they're proximate to the grantee partners and where they have other donors of all levels of giving. Because it's that transformation, that sense of, you spoke about philanthropy and the love of humanity, that human connection that has been so broken, right? Because of inequalities, that I think is transformed powerfully with giving circles, with collective giving. So that's how we do it at the foundation. We involve people in the grant making, volunteers, go to site visits, learn from our grantee partners, and then make recommendations, and we fund them. We direct the dollars. We also have internal giving circles like the Emerging Leaders Network or like Circle of Sisters. They are their own mini giving circles compared to the foundation as a very large giving circle that can intentionally destine their funding as well. And they participate also in that learning with grantees, from grantees, and exchanging knowledge. So the power relationship is very important in philanthropy. I'm so glad you brought that up. So how we do philanthropy is just as important of what we do in philanthropy.
Totally. How do you show up as a good philanthropist, right? Yes. Like don't make organizations go through, jump through hoops to get a grant and to get support. Yes. Thank you, Anna. Yes. So the We Give Summit is a gathering, for philanthropists all across the globe. You lead your personal life and professional experience is very much collaborative in nature. So how have you leveraged partnerships with other funds to have larger collective impact? Like the New York City Fund for Girls and Young Women of Color, or their Third Wave Fund. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes. So, if we can think of foundations as also bigger giving circle, right? In institutions coming together on a shared table. So following a grantee partner, 7 years ago, we began a table of foundations to invest in girls and young women of color, because in our studies in New York, those are the biggest disparities, life disparities in all aspects. I think we know that because so many structural disadvantages manifest themselves in those communities, right, of young women of color. So we invited other colleagues of ours to come together and to collaborate to give a minimum of 10, we're now at $12 million additional, not taking away from others, but adding to girls and young women of color. And we followed the determinations and the priorities that girls and young women of color came together and decided they wanted in their lives. So they wanted after school programs, they wanted opportunities for job internships, they wanted reproductive justice, they wanted access to healthcare, etc. So this fund has 17 foundations, but foundations that are very large, like the Ford Foundation or the New York Community Trust, and foundations like Third Wave, which is a small foundation that we cherish tremendously. So the contributions of each foundation is also according to their means, but they all have the same vote. They all have the same participation. The Justice Fund, in New York City, we have a very strong movement to close the barbaric mass incarceration system of Rikers Island. And it was a grantee partner of the foundation that came to us and said, we need to close the women's prison and we need to close all the other prisons. We did the same thing. We invited other foundations to join us to produce this result together. And because of that, we're able to invest in a focused manner. I think that giving circles and institutional funding tables like that accelerate change. I think they're very important because they are focused, they increase the capital investment, they increase the issue being talked about or the issues getting to be known. Same thing with, we have a national partnership with 9 other women's foundations investing in girls and young women of color, each of them investing according to their capacity, but all of us sharing that same goal, because we know that these systemic issues need to be consistently invested in. They are not going to disappear in 3 years, unfortunately. So philanthropy has to be partnering with our grantees and following them over time. We need to be consistent. And when you are together, it's so much easier to see the impact. Because I put my grant dollars, the other foundation puts their grant dollars, and we can produce much more investment for grantee partners.
Thank you, Ana. Thank you. I know we have just a couple of minutes left, but I want to ask you, where do you find inspiration, and what would you say to everybody that is listening to you, for the people that are part of Giving Circle, but also for those folks that are not yet part of a Giving Circle?
I would say this, that what philanthropy is about is shaping the world that we want to see. Philanthropy is about creating the opportunity to have today a world closer to the justice that we want, to our own liberation, right? Our humanity is tied up with each other. So it's very liberating to know that no matter what my assets are, I can make a difference now in my lifetime. It's a privilege in some ways to be able to say, let's shape the world now. And the idea that these enormous, unsurmountable issues actually are resolvable issues. They have been created by us humans, and they can be changed by us humans. So, but philanthropy, as you said before, giving circles and collective giving changes the face of philanthropy. We all are philanthropists, and you don't have to be a millionaire to be a philanthropist. That is not what makes it. But coming together, we invest enormous millions, right? But more importantly, we learn, we transform, and we exchange, and I think that, think about the pandemic, the ability to be able to respond together and give to funds and give to circles, you actually can see a difference, So I think that it's a privilege. It's not and privileges are blessings in many ways. So I think we should use that, and that's power, right? Not power over, but power with. Together,
I love it. Thank you so much, Ana, for sharing your time and your wisdom with us here today. I mean, your message, I am sure, will inspire many, many, many on this movement. Those on with us today and those all over the world who will tune in and watch the recording. Thank you so much. And we wish you a safe trip back home. I know you're taking a plane shortly. So We'll see you on this side of the world.
Thank you so much, Ana. And congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
what this virtual world has allowed us is for us to be a lot more connected than ever before, right? Like Ana was now in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So much is this virtual connection that our next speaker is joining us from an RV while she travels across the United States. Abigail Disney is an Emmy-winning documentary filmmaker and activist who uses her gift of storytelling to advance social movements. Here is a message from Abby.
Hey all, Abby Disney here from inside a camper van. Currently going into Big Bend State Park. I'll show you out the window. It's quite beautiful. Crossing America in the most inefficient way possible. I just want to thank y'all for asking me to speak. When I was younger, I talked a lot about saving things. Saving the world, saving the poor, saving the environment, saving, puppies. And then I grew up a little bit and I came to see what a silly, narcissistic, and even maybe insulting idea that was. Of course, every Saturday morning I had been watching Penelope pit stop as she is tied to a railroad track by Snidely Whiplash. Salvation was the appropriate word for what she needed from Dudley and Do-Right. Every Saturday morning, that dingbat, Penelope pit stop, would fall for another Snidely Whiplash's schemes. It was exhausting for me to watch as a kid. I mean, what was wrong with Penelope pit stop? How did she fall for this over and over again? But it always ended a half an hour later, tied up neatly in a bow, and everyone was destined to live happily ever after, or at least until next Saturday. There's just one problem with this scenario. On planet Grown Up, where you and I live and function, when Dudley Do-Right unties Penelope pit stop right in the nick of time, the story isn't quite over. Because on planet Grown Up, no story is ever over. Stories are attractive because they have beginnings, middles, and endings. Stories are attractive precisely because they are not real life. We've been trained since early on to think of the world the way we think of stories. We want heroes and villains, we want happy endings, we want a lack of ambiguity, a simple resolution, and happily ever after. Of course, in life, nothing's ever that simple, and nothing's ever over. And more than that, nothing is ever a question of one hero, one person, one anything needing to kick into action. Long story short, if you think you want to be a savior, you pretty quickly realize it's a little more complicated than that. All these emotional and mental gymnastics were, of course, solitary exercises for me. I don't know how I got so lucky, but one day in my process, I found some fellow travelers. Some of them were other high net worth women who were struggling with a lot of the same questions I had. Some of them were women, like my colleagues at the New York Women's Foundation, who were taking these issues on in real time, a lively, intelligent cross-section of women from a variety of life experiences, most of which experiences were entirely new to my imagination, all of which were incredibly important to my formation. Until I let in all these people and ideas, I might as well have been playing solitaire in the corner. Until I engaged in the work as a learner, what wisdom could I possibly have brought to anything I was trying to accomplish? So in the big, messy process of consensus-based decision-making, and it is messy, the idea of saving, the simplicity of the job of fixing or ending or resolving anything very quickly gave way to a far more complex set of challenges. And more than anything, the idea that I alone could resolve or fix or end anything became more and more ridiculous. What's more, there were experts who lorded it over us with supposed answers from think tanks and universities, and there were researchers who told us that grassroots were a waste of time, and that the work of making the world a better place was going to have to be about scale. It's clear to me now, none of those people was ever going to fix or resolve or end anything either. It's been a hard year for all of us in every conceivable way. But perhaps the hardest thing for me has been finding myself cut off physically from the people I love. We have Zoom, we have FaceTime, of course, but we all know that those are poor substitutes for the hugs, the unencumbered laughter, the simple intimacies of sharing a space with your nearest and dearest without hesitancy or fear. We might be approaching something like getting back to normal, but I hope we've all been marked by this in one particular way. I hope not one of us will ever again take for granted what a gift each of us is to all the rest of us, and what a privilege it is to share this earth and all its challenges and complexity freely with one another. The newspapers keep telling us that sadness and depression are peaking right now across the world, and this is disheartening for sure. But I happen to think that's the good news, because even though it comes in ugly wrapping paper, it tells us that we need each other. We don't work as individuals, as families, as societies, or as governments without the active participation and cooperation of a whole lot of other people. That is more than a nice sentiment. I may be known as a person who gives a lot of money away, but even I know that not a thing I've ever done would matter one whit without the contributions, both financial and otherwise, of thousands of other people who add their own money and effort to what I've chipped in. There is a magic in aggregation. The whole is always more than the sum of its parts when we work together, respect each other, and bring all of ourselves to our jobs. And philanthropy is a poor substitute for structural change. But philanthropy can be a powerful source of education, a driver of new ideas, a supporter of the passion that people need and the energy people need to bring to the work of structural change. And truly, the best kind of philanthropy is the kind that comes from people like you, democratized, collective, cooperative, and powerful philanthropists like you. Pooling our money does more than just expand our impact. Pooling our money draws us closer to power. Pooling our money forces us to learn from one another. Pooling our money encourages us to put our egos aside long enough to see that the wisdom of the group, particularly the wisdom of a diverse group, is a robust, clear, and powerful wisdom. The kind of wisdom even the most brilliant individual can never achieve on their own. Pooling our money makes us better people. So I salute all of you here. You are engaged in some of the most important work of our times. Yes, Bill and Melinda Gates get all the press, and Mark Zuckerberg is busily naming hospitals after himself. But where did the real change come from this year? It wasn't Bill Gates. It was Black Lives Matter. It was Me Too. It was thousands of small but mighty organizations that harnessed the wisdom and the energy of the grassroots to make the demand for change be unignorable. And the mostly women who drive those movements didn't suddenly arrive fully formed the date you first heard of them. They had been working at those jobs quietly, fervently, and very effectively to be in the position to erupt the way they did. It takes years to be an overnight sensation, and the media may have painted them to be that, but we know what kind of days and hours and years they put into it. The stuff that gets noticed in the media is very often just a patina that covers up a better, deeper set of people and practices doing the less flashy and glorifying work. And you should count yourselves as doing that work too, because you're collective, democratized, and effective. Because you work together. You are driving bottom-up change. And bottom-up change, as you might have noticed lately, is the only kind of change worth fighting for. It's the only kind of change that will come anywhere close to fixing, saving, ending anything. I commend you. Keep up your good work. It's working.
We are so grateful Abby took the time to share this message. And as she said, you are the everyday givers making change happen. You know, we are the overnight sensation that we have been doing this for years. And it's so amazing to see that we, you know, little by little are going to get the visibility that we all deserve in the world of philanthropy. We all, you know, the collective giving movement, the everyday givers, you have the boots on the ground and understand the needs of your community. I'd like to thank you all for being part of this movement and being united in this work. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was the first organization to invest in bringing the field of collective giving together and amplify the work that you and your giving circle are doing. We never thought, you know, a few years ago that from those 50 people getting together in Michigan, now we have multiplied that number by almost 20. And that the virtual world has allowed us to welcome people from more than 20 countries at We Give Summit. Victoria Branagh with the Gates Foundation really wanted to be here today. She had a last minute conflict, but we will have her at another moment during the summit. I want to just take a second to thank all of our We Give Summit sponsors. The theme of this inaugural We Give Summit is We're Stronger Together, because no one of us can do this alone. There is a strength and power in the collective, something that our next speaker knows all about. Our last speaker, Eric Liu, is the CEO and co-founder of Citizen University, which works to build a culture of powerful and responsible citizenship in the United States. Here, he shares a message.
Sara, thank you so much for that introduction and for inviting me to be part of the We Give Summit. It is really such a thrill to be with this incredible growing community of people who are changing our society right now. I also want to thank my friend Taisha Wilson, who's the Director of Engagement with Philanthropy Together, who literally wrote me into this gathering. It's truly a joy to be with you. I want to just tell you a little bit about why I said yes to this. Fundamentally, our work at Citizen University is about trying to build a culture of powerful, responsible citizenship. And we often think about citizenship not in terms of documentation status and passports and papers. We mean it in this kind of deeper ethical sense of how you show up, how you live in community, how you see yourself as a member of the body connected to others. And we have this simple equation that we sometimes use to describe what we mean by citizenship. And it goes like this: power plus character equals citizenship. And I want to unpack that equation because it seems to me that every single part of that defines what you all are doing here at the We Give Summit and part of this collective giving movement that you all are giving greater life to. So power. What I mean by power is simply this: a capacity to ensure that others do as you would like them to do. And I know that definition sounds a little bit mean and menacing and domineering, but if you actually sit with it a moment, you realize that's what every human being is wanting to do all the time, wanting to ensure that others do as you would like them to do. And what we've got to get over is any hesitation about naming power, talking about power, and practicing power. In a lot of places, power is kind of a dirty word. All the associations we have with it are negative: power hungry, power trip, power mad. And I think that is an unfortunate thing, because when you stay away from talking about power, those who have it and those who are hoarding it, they're perfectly glad to have you put your head in the sand while they keep on doing what they're doing. And so we all have a responsibility in civic life to understand power, what it is, where it comes from, how we practice it, and how particularly we use ideas, social norms, numbers, and of course, dollars to generate power in civic life and to change things. And that's one part of what it means to live like a citizen. But while that's necessary, it's not sufficient. If all you have is a knowledge of power and how to move money and people and ideas around, but you don't have any kind of moral core or ethical compass, then you're just a really skilled sociopath. And that's not what any of us are going for, right? And so the other half of this equation, power plus character, becomes super important. When we talk about character, what we mean is not just individual personal virtue, right? I'm not just talking about diligence and grit. I'm all for diligence and grit. There's not a person at the summit who doesn't have diligence and grit. But what I mean more is character in the collective. How do we live in public together? How do we hold a community together? And these are values and norms like sharing of responsibility and sacrifice, norms like reciprocity and mutuality, service before self, contribution before consumption, and a recognition that we're all better off when we're all better off. That kind of civic character doesn't just happen, it gets cultivated. It gets cultivated through practice. So why have I given you this equation and this theoretical approach to citizenship? Because I look around the country all the time, and in my work, we bring together folks, actually like Taisha, from all around the country who are catalysts of change in their communities, from Dallas to San Francisco to Seattle to Portland to Boston to towns in the Midwest and the South, all over, small towns, big cities, you name it, all kinds of communities, red places, blue places, suburban, everything. And what we do is we try to awaken in people this realization that to show up for your community means both practicing power and cultivating character. And I'm not sure there's a better example of that right now than the collective giving movement. I'm not sure there's a better example of that than the giving circle, because the giving circle is definitely the practice of power. You all are figuring out ways to pool together capital, whether it's dollar capital, knowledge capital, relationship capital, institutional capital, and pool that together and think about how, with our collective capacity, do we make an impact and an imprint on our community for the good, right? And you're coupling that sense of collective power building with always a belief that character matters, a belief in these values, and understanding that the whole point of doing this and the whole point of organizing is not to get more for yourself and hoard more for yourself. It's to circulate the wealth and circulate the power and circulate the opportunity and bust those monopolies of opportunity that define so many of our communities around the country. That's civic character. And the way that you've been doing your work and the way that you're spreading this movement, to me, is one of the signal examples of civic power, living like a citizen, and powerful citizenship that I can imagine in our country. And so I want to salute you more than anything else, but I wanted to give you that frame because as you do what you do, and you spend the rest of the summit together over these next, not only the sessions today, but over these next few weeks, you're going to figure out a lot of tactical, practical skills. You're going to learn how to do this a little better. You're going to learn how to connect better with different resources. But I want you to always remember that spirit of purpose. Why are we doing this? How do we feel when we're doing this? And how can we make that feeling contagious? That's what we're here for. That's the example that you're setting. And the way that you're living like citizens is an inspiration to me and many millions of other people around the country. Thanks for having me. Good luck with the rest of the summit, and go forth and keep on spreading that generous spirit.
Oh my God, what a powerful message from Eric. Giving is power, but we have to practice it. We have to cultivate. We have to always think about our purpose, right? Why did we start a giving circle? Why are we here? We are all here at the We Give Summit to learn, to grow together, to harness the power of collective impact, to learn from each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining this inaugural event. This morning, we're just getting started. And after today's wonderful messages, I hope you feel inspired and renewed in this work and, energized to take these next 4 weeks and join us to every single session. And the ones that you cannot join live, just hear the recording afterwards, with your Sunday coffee. Our communities face incredible challenges, and all of us here have the power to rise up to the occasion and give. Give not only our money, but our time, our talent, our testimonies, opening our networks to support our grassroots nonprofits. Each of you is a change maker, and I feel humbled and honored to be doing this work with all of you. So before I leave you, I urge you to continue on and join us for more sessions throughout the We Give Summit. Don't forget to build your schedule at wegivsummit.org and plug everything into your calendar. If you got a swag box, don't forget to have your little signs. I don't know if people can see my little signs that you can engage in the sessions. Also, complete your session evaluations, which can be found on your agenda as well. Join the community forum to connect more deeply with your fellow summit participants. When we have some questions in the sessions that cannot be answered live, they will be moved to the forum, so you can keep asking questions. Our speakers will be participating there. And last but not least, invite all your friends to join us. All week first sessions are completely free to attend, but we do also encourage you to upgrade to an all access pass and engage with us over the next 4 weeks. With more than 120 speakers and 40 sessions this May, is going to be amazing. So we're getting ready for our next panel. So are you ready for the next session? At the top of the hour, you need to join. Giving Circles are here to stay with our wonderful Hallie Lee. And she's going to be joined by 5 Giving Circle leaders who have been engaged in the field of collective giving for more than 2 decades. And afterwards, you are invited to hear an inspiring fireside chat that I had with incredibles Aggie and Kat Gunn. And of course, this evening, join our pop-up giving circle and be prepared to, have impact in 75 minutes with Giving Tuesday. See you there. Thank you.